Number 1. This 1973 Dodge Dart Swinger 2-door feels like a straightforward, honest classic muscle-era compact that's all about simplicity and driving enjoyment. In my opinion, cars like the Dart Swinger often don't get the attention they deserve because they sit in the shadow of bigger-name mopars like the Charger, Challenger, and Roadrunner. But the reality is, the Dart has its own appeal, especially for someone who wants a light, simple, and easy-to-enjoy classic with Mopar character. The first thing that stands out here is the green-on-green color combination. Personally, I think that's very period correct for the early 1970s. Dodge wasn't shy about bold or earthy colors during this era, and while it may not be the most flashy setup, it gives the car an authentic vintage personality that modern restorations sometimes lose. One thing I've always liked about the Dart Swinger is its no-nonsense design. In my opinion, it represents a shift in the muscle car era where compact performance and affordability started becoming more important than just big block horsepower numbers. The body is simple, clean, and easy to recognize, without excessive styling elements. And honestly, that simplicity is part of its charm. It doesn't try to be anything more than what it is, a small, fun, rear-wheel drive American coupe with classic Mopar DNA. The seller states that the car runs and drives great, and personally, that's one of the most important things I look for in a listing like this. At this price point, especially for a vintage Mopar, condition matters far more than detailed specifications. A car that runs and drives properly means the fundamentals are already in place: engine health, transmission function, and basic drivability. That alone saves a potential buyer a significant amount of time and money compared to starting with a non-running project. The listed mileage of around 70,000 miles also feels reasonable for a car of this age. In my opinion, mileage on classics like this is always secondary to maintenance history and overall condition. A well-kept Dart with 70k miles can often be a much better purchase than a neglected low-mile example. One thing I appreciate about the Dodge Dart platform is how light and simple it is. Personally, I think that makes it a very enjoyable driver's car. Even with modest engine output, the relatively light weight gives it a responsive and lively feel on the road. It's not trying to compete with big block muscle cars, and that's okay. In fact, that's part of its identity. It's more about cruising, enjoying the sound of the engine, and having a relaxed but engaging driving experience. The seller's description is short and straightforward, which honestly matches the personality of the car itself. There's no exaggeration, no long list of modifications, just a simple statement that it runs and drives well. Personally, I sometimes prefer listings like this because they tend to focus on the essentials rather than overhyping the vehicle. At an asking price of $23,000, this Dart Swinger sits in a bit of an interesting space. In my opinion, the value here depends heavily on overall condition, originality, and how solid the body and undercarriage are. Mopar compact muscle-era cars have been gaining interest over the years, especially clean drivers that don't require major restoration work. What I like most about this Dart is its honesty. It doesn't sound like a heavily modified restomod or a fully restored show car. Instead, it appears to be a usable classic that someone can enjoy as is. And honestly, that kind of car ownership experience is underrated. Not every classic needs to be perfect or extremely powerful. Sometimes the best ones are the simple, reliable drivers you can take out on a weekend without worry. Overall, in my opinion, this 1973 Dodge Dart Swinger is a solid example of early 1970s Mopar design philosophy. The clean styling, green-on-green vintage look, running condition, and straightforward nature make it an approachable classic. It may not be the most powerful or rare Mopar out there, but it offers something just as important: an easy, enjoyable entry into classic American muscle-era ownership. Number 2. 1968 Ford Fairlane 500. This 1968 Ford Fairlane 500 is a classic midsize American coupe that blends vintage Ford styling, V8 era simplicity, and driver-focused usability into a straightforward and affordable classic car package. Finished in black with a gray interior, this Fairlane presents a clean and understated appearance that highlights the long hood, squared-off body lines, and balanced proportions that made the Fairlane one of Ford's most versatile platforms during the late 1960s. The 1968 model year sits within an important period for Ford's intermediate lineup, when the Fairlane was transitioning from a family-oriented mid-size car into a platform that could also support serious performance variants. While high-performance Fairlane GT and Cobra models would later gain most of the attention, the standard Fairlane 500 still offered solid engineering, dependable V8 options, and a comfortable driving experience that made it a popular choice for everyday transportation during its era. According to the seller, this particular example was restored at some point in its past. While the listing does not specify the extent or quality of the restoration, the fact that the car has been brought back to a running and driving condition suggests that it has already undergone at least some level of mechanical and cosmetic attention. For many buyers, a previously restored vehicle can offer a useful starting point, even if additional sorting or minor repairs are still required. Power is delivered through an automatic transmission, which aligns with the Fairlane's intended role as a comfortable and easy-to-drive classic. The seller notes that the vehicle currently runs, drives, and stops, indicating that the core mechanical systems are functional and usable. This makes the car more appealing as a driver rather than a non-running project, especially for enthusiasts who want to enjoy a vintage Ford without immediately undertaking a full restoration. The listing also mentions a couple of mechanical items that require attention, including a leaking transmission pan gasket and a power steering gasket issue. These types of maintenance concerns are fairly common on older classics and are often considered routine repair items rather than major mechanical failures. Addressing these leaks would likely improve drivability and reliability, allowing the car to be enjoyed more confidently on the road. With approximately 53,000 miles reported, the odometer reading suggests relatively moderate use, although actual mileage on vehicles of this age can sometimes be difficult to verify. Regardless, the overall presentation indicates a car that has been preserved or restored enough to remain functional and roadworthy. For a classic Ford in this price range, the combination of running condition and usable drivetrain is often the most important factor for prospective buyers. The exterior black finish gives the Fairlane a more aggressive and timeless appearance compared to lighter factory colors. Black tends to accentuate body lines and chrome trim, giving classic cars a more dramatic visual presence. Paired with the gray interior, the overall color combination is simple but effective, emphasizing the car's clean, vintage character rather than flashy customization. Inside, the gray interior maintains a period-correct look consistent with late 1960s Ford design language. While the listing does not provide detailed information about interior condition or modifications, Fairlane interiors from this era are generally known for their straightforward layout and durable construction. Depending on its restoration history, the cabin may already reflect some level of refurbishment while still retaining its original design influence. From a collector and enthusiast perspective, the Fairlane 500 occupies an interesting position in the classic Ford market. It is not as highly sought after as the high-performance GT or Cobra variants, but it offers many of the same styling cues and chassis characteristics at a more accessible price point. This makes it an appealing option for buyers who want a classic Ford coupe that can be enjoyed without the premium cost associated with top-tier muscle car trims. The 1968 Fairlane also benefits from strong parts availability and relatively simple mechanical systems compared to modern vehicles. This ease of maintenance contributes to its popularity among hobbyists who prefer working on their own cars or gradually improving a classic over time. Vehicles like this often serve as entry points into the classic Ford community due to their affordability and straightforward engineering. From my perspective, the strongest appeal of this particular example is its combination of running condition and low asking price. While it does require some mechanical attention, it already functions as a driver, which significantly reduces the barrier to entry for a potential owner. For someone willing to perform minor repairs and ongoing maintenance, it could serve as a rewarding and budget-friendly classic car project. Overall, this 1968 Ford Fairlane 500 appears to be a solid driver-level classic that offers vintage Ford styling, usable mechanical condition, and an attractive entry price. The combination of a running drivetrain, previously restored status, and minor repair needs makes it an appealing option for enthusiasts seeking an affordable classic that can be improved and enjoyed over time. This 1968 Ford Fairlane 500 is located in El Paso, Texas, and is currently being offered for sale at an asking price of $6,800. Number 3. 1974 Ford Comet GT. This 1974 Ford Comet GT is a classic compact performance coupe that reflects the final evolution of the Comet nameplate during the mid-1970s, a period when American automakers were shifting toward more efficient and manageable vehicles while still retaining elements of sporty styling. Finished as a clean title example and located in Norman, Oklahoma, this Comet GT is presented as a well-running driver that has recently received several maintenance and usability upgrades, making it an appealing entry-level classic for enthusiasts seeking something simple, reliable, and enjoyable to drive. According to the seller, this Comet GT runs and drives well, indicating that the vehicle is already in a road-ready condition rather than requiring extensive mechanical restoration. The car has recently undergone a tune-up and oil change, two essential maintenance services that help ensure smooth engine operation, improved throttle response, and overall reliability. These updates suggest that the vehicle has been kept in a usable condition and is not simply a static project car. One of the more important recent improvements includes new wiring for the lighting system. Electrical systems in classic vehicles often degrade over time due to age, corrosion, or previous modifications, so refreshing the wiring helps improve both safety and functionality. Proper lighting operation is particularly important for older vehicles that may otherwise suffer from inconsistent electrical performance. The vehicle also features a brand new exhaust system, which not only improves engine breathing but also enhances the overall driving experience through a more refined and likely more aggressive exhaust tone. Exhaust upgrades in classic cars often contribute to both performance efficiency and sound character, giving the vehicle a more engaging presence on the road while maintaining drivability. While the listing does not provide detailed engine specifications such as displacement or performance modifications, the emphasis on its runs and drives great condition suggests a stock or lightly modified powertrain setup. The Comet GT of this era typically shares mechanical foundations with Ford's compact and intermediate platforms, meaning it is generally designed for dependable everyday usability rather than extreme performance output. As a result, this example likely offers a balanced driving experience focused more on reliability and cruising comfort than raw horsepower. The automatic transmission adds to this ease-of-use character, making the car accessible to a wide range of drivers, including those who prefer a relaxed driving experience without the need for manual shifting. This setup is especially well-suited for cruising, city driving, and casual weekend use, where smooth and predictable operation is more important than aggressive performance dynamics. Visually, the 1974 Comet GT carries the design language of early to mid-1970s American compact performance cars. By this time, styling had shifted toward more simplified body lines, softer edges, and a focus on practicality. Even so, the GT designation typically adds a sportier appearance package compared to base models, often including upgraded trim, unique badging, and subtle styling enhancements that distinguish it from standard commuter versions. The seller states that the vehicle holds a clean title, which is an important factor for buyers in the classic car market. A clean title generally indicates that the vehicle has not been declared a total loss by an insurance company and does not carry major legal or ownership complications. This contributes positively to the car's overall value and simplifies the ownership transfer process. At an asking price of $15,500, this Comet GT positions itself within the accessible range of the classic car market. It is neither a high-end collector piece nor a heavily modified performance build, but rather a usable classic that appeals to buyers looking for a straightforward vintage driving experience. Its recent maintenance work, operational condition, and clean title status all support its presentation as a functional and enjoyable driver rather than a restoration project. Overall, this 1974 Ford Comet GT represents a simple but appealing classic coupe that delivers ease of ownership, basic mechanical reliability, and vintage American styling. For enthusiasts who appreciate understated 1970s Ford design and want a ready-to-drive classic without extensive mechanical work, this example offers a practical and approachable entry point into vintage car ownership. Number 4. A 1965 Pontiac Catalina that represents the classic American full-size cruiser era when comfort, V8 power, and bold styling defined the driving experience. Finished in a matching red exterior and red interior, this Catalina carries the unmistakable presence of mid-1960s Pontiac design, with long body lines, clean proportions, and a straightforward but confident look that still turns heads today. With just under 70,000 miles reported and a clear Texas title, it presents itself as a solid driver-quality classic with room for improvement depending on how far the next owner wants to take it. Under the hood is Pontiac's well-known 389 cubic inch V8, an engine closely associated with the golden age of Pontiac performance. While this Catalina is not described as a full performance variant like a GTO, the 389 still delivers strong torque and smooth acceleration, especially in a full-size platform like the Catalina. In stock or near-stock form, this engine is known for its reliability and its ability to move large vehicles with ease, making it well-suited for relaxed cruising as well as occasional highway driving. Paired with an automatic transmission, the drivetrain setup focuses on simplicity and comfort rather than aggressive performance. This combination was extremely common in mid-1960s full-size Pontiacs, designed to appeal to buyers who wanted V8 power without the need for manual shifting. The result is a car that is easy to drive, forgiving in traffic, and comfortable for longer weekend trips or casual cruising. As a four-door sedan, this Catalina emphasizes practicality compared to its two-door counterparts. While coupes and convertibles often receive more attention in the collector market, four-door classics like this offer a different kind of appeal. They provide more interior space, easier access for passengers, and a relaxed cruising character that fits well with the Catalina's full-size design philosophy. For some enthusiasts, a clean four-door driver is the perfect way to enjoy classic car ownership without the higher cost of more collectible body styles. The seller describes the car as mostly original and in good condition, though it would benefit from some light restoration or cosmetic refreshing to bring it closer to show condition. This type of driver with potential is common in the classic car market and often appeals to buyers who want to enjoy a vehicle immediately while gradually improving it over time. Rather than requiring a full rebuild, this Catalina appears to be in a usable state that can be enjoyed as is. The red-on-red color combination gives the car a bold and cohesive appearance. Pontiac was known for offering vibrant color choices during the 1960s, and this Catalina reflects that design philosophy well. While a matching interior and exterior color scheme can sometimes feel overwhelming in smaller cars, in a full-size sedan like this it enhances the sense of presence and period authenticity. One of the key selling points of this vehicle is its simplicity. Unlike heavily optioned or modified classics, this Catalina appears to remain close to its original configuration. That makes it easier to maintain, repair, and preserve, especially for enthusiasts who prefer straightforward mechanical systems over complex restorations. Parts availability for the 389 V8 and full-size Pontiac platforms remains relatively good, which helps keep ownership practical. From a driving perspective, the Catalina was designed to prioritize ride comfort and smoothness. The suspension geometry and full-frame construction typical of this era contribute to a soft, comfortable ride that absorbs road imperfections well. Combined with the V8 torque, this makes the car well suited for relaxed cruising rather than aggressive driving. At an asking price of $8,500, this 1965 Pontiac Catalina appears to sit in an accessible entry point for classic car enthusiasts. Compared to more collectible Pontiacs like GTOs or Firebirds, the Catalina offers a more affordable way to experience classic V8 American motoring without sacrificing size, style, or presence. Overall, this 1965 Pontiac Catalina stands as a straightforward, honest example of a mid-1960s full-size Pontiac. It offers a strong foundation with its 389 V8, automatic transmission, and mostly original condition, while still leaving room for improvement if the next owner chooses to invest in cosmetic restoration. For someone seeking a usable classic cruiser with character and V8 charm, this Catalina presents a practical and enjoyable opportunity. Number 5. 1964 Ford Gaxalie 500 Hardtop. This 1964 Ford Gaxalie 500 Hardtop represents one of the most refined and visually balanced full-size Fords of the mid-1960s, a period when American manufacturers were competing heavily on style, comfort, and V8 performance. With its clean hardtop roofline, long hood, and understated chrome detailing, the Gaxalie 500 has become a favorite among enthusiasts who appreciate classic Detroit design without the exaggerated styling cues of earlier decades. The 1964 model year is often considered one of the most attractive iterations of the Gaxalie lineup. Ford had by this time refined the platform into a smooth, elegant cruiser that could serve equally well as a family car or a stylish highway tourer. The hardtop configuration in particular enhances the car's proportions, giving it a sleek, uninterrupted roofline that contributes to its timeless appearance. Powering this example is the well-known 289 cubic inch V8 engine paired with a standard transmission. The 289 has long been regarded as one of Ford's most reliable and versatile small-block engines. Known for its smooth power delivery, durability, and strong aftermarket support, it became a cornerstone of Ford performance throughout the 1960s. While not a high-strung race engine in this configuration, it provides more than enough torque and drivability to make the Gaxalie an enjoyable classic cruiser on modern roads. The seller describes the vehicle as very nice, and notes that numerous parts have been replaced, suggesting that the car has received ongoing maintenance or restoration work to keep it in presentable and functional condition. While specific details of the restoration are not listed, this type of incremental improvement often indicates a vehicle that has been cared for over time rather than left to deteriorate. Inside, the Gaxalie 500 would typically feature a spacious cabin designed for comfort and simplicity. Ford interiors of this era emphasized wide seating, clear instrumentation, and a straightforward layout that prioritized ease of use. In a well-maintained example, these interiors offer a nostalgic driving experience that reflects the era when American cars were built with long-distance comfort in mind. From a driving perspective, the Gaxalie 500 hardtop delivers the classic full-size Ford experience. Smooth highway cruising, relaxed steering feel, and a solid, composed ride. These cars were not intended to be aggressive performers, but rather comfortable and stylish vehicles for everyday use and long road trips. The combination of the 289 V8 and lightweight hardtop body makes it slightly more responsive than larger, heavier configurations of the same model. At the asking price of $23,000, this Gaxalie 500 is positioned within the market of well-kept, driver-quality classic Fords. The phrase, "very nice," and the mention of multiple replaced parts suggest that the vehicle is likely being presented as a usable classic rather than a full concours-level restoration. Cars in this category appeal to buyers who want a ready-to-enjoy vintage vehicle without committing to a full rebuild project. The Gaxalie platform continues to hold strong appeal among collectors due to its role in Ford's early 1960s lineup and its connection to the broader American full-size performance and cruising culture. While it may not command the same attention as Mustang models from the same era, well-preserved Gaxalie 500 hardtops are increasingly appreciated for their style, comfort, and authenticity. Located in Burleson, Texas, this 1964 Ford Gaxalie 500 hardtop with a 289 V8 and standard transmission presents itself as a well-maintained classic cruiser with significant aesthetic appeal and long-term drivability. For enthusiasts seeking a straightforward, elegant entry into 1960s Ford ownership, this example offers a blend of classic styling, Prov. Number 6. This 1973 Plymouth Barracuda is one of those cars that immediately stands out simply because of the name on the badge. In my opinion, even late-model Barracudas carry a certain level of respect in the Mopar world because they represent the final evolution of a legendary nameplate that started in the early muscle car era and gradually shifted into more refined performance and personal luxury territory. The first thing that catches my attention is the fact that this is a one-owner car. Personally, I think ownership history like that adds a lot of character and credibility to a classic vehicle. It suggests long-term attachment and care, rather than something that has been passed around or heavily modified by multiple owners over time. That said, there is an important detail here. The vehicle still has money owed on it. In my opinion, that's something any potential buyer needs to take seriously. It doesn't necessarily reflect negatively on the car itself, but it does add an extra layer of complexity to the transaction process. For many buyers, that means verifying title status and ensuring everything is properly cleared before any deal is made. Visually, the green exterior paired with a black interior sounds like a very period-appropriate combination for the early 1970s. Personally, I think Mopar did a great job during this era with bold but earthy color choices, and this Barracuda seems to reflect that design philosophy well. It's not flashy in a modern sense, but it carries that authentic vintage character that enthusiasts often appreciate. Under the hood sits a 340 cubic inch engine, which in my opinion is one of the most desirable small-block Mopar engines ever produced. The 340 is well known for its strong performance, high revving nature compared to larger big blocks, and its reputation as a true street performance engine. Even today, it remains a respected and sought-after power plant among Mopar enthusiasts. And honestly, in a lightweightish platform like the Barracuda, a 340 can deliver a very engaging driving experience. It's not just about straight-line speed, it's about how quickly the engine responds and how lively the car feels on the road. The seller mentions that the engine runs well, and personally, that's always a key point in listings like this. A running 340 is a major advantage because rebuilding Mopar performance engines can become expensive very quickly depending on condition and parts availability. Another interesting detail is the mention of a leather interior. In my opinion, that adds a slightly more upscale character to the car, especially for a 1973 model where Barracudas were already transitioning toward more comfort-oriented designs compared to earlier, more raw muscle versions. I can easily imagine the cabin feeling more like a personal cruiser than a stripped-down race car, which actually aligns with the direction many early 70s Mopars were taking. The mileage is listed at around 10,000 miles, although with classic cars, I would personally treat that figure with caution unless there is strong documentation supporting it. Regardless, what matters more is the overall condition of the drivetrain and body, especially for a vehicle of this age. One thing I appreciate about this listing is its simplicity. There's no long list of modifications or exaggerated claims, just the essential details. One owner, 340 engine, runs well, leather interior. In my opinion, sometimes straightforward listings like this are easier to evaluate because they don't distract from the core facts. At an asking price of $34,000, this Barracuda sits in a fairly interesting position. Personally, I think the value here will depend heavily on condition, rust situation, and how original the car remains. Late Barracudas don't always command the same attention as earlier E-body performance models, but clean examples with desirable engines like the 340 still hold strong appeal. What I like most about this car is the combination of its heritage and engine choice. The Barracuda name carries history, and the 340 engine adds genuine performance credibility. Even if this particular model year is not the most famous version, it still offers a solid classic Mopar experience. Overall, in my opinion, this 1973 Plymouth Barracuda is an interesting and potentially rewarding classic. The one-owner history, strong 340 engine, period-correct styling, and simple presentation make it appealing, but the outstanding loan situation is something that must be carefully handled. Still, for someone looking for a usable Mopar with real V8 character and classic identity, this Barracuda could be a very compelling option. Number 7. 1978 Ford Ltd Coupe 2D. This 1978 Ford Ltd Coupe is a late 1970s full-size American cruiser that reflects the final era of classic body-on-frame comfort before the automotive industry fully transitioned into smaller, more fuel-efficient designs. Finished in its original blue exterior with a matching blue interior, this LTD presents a clean and honest vintage appearance that emphasizes originality, long body proportions, and the understated luxury Ford was known for in its full-size lineup during this period. According to the seller, this is a low-mileage, all-original example showing approximately 43,000 miles. That alone makes it relatively uncommon, as many full-size cars from this era were heavily used, modified, or scrapped due to changing fuel economy standards in the late 1970s and early 1980s. The fact that this car has remained largely original adds a level of authenticity that many collectors and casual enthusiasts appreciate, especially in a segment of the hobby where untouched survivors are becoming harder to find. Under the hood, the car is powered by a 351 Windsor V8 engine. Ford's 351W is widely regarded as one of the most durable and versatile small-block V8 engines the company ever produced. Known for its strong low-end torque, simple design, and long service life, it was a common choice in full-size Fords during this era. According to the seller, the engine runs well and the car drives in a tight and stable manner, suggesting that the drivetrain remains in solid working condition despite its age. One of the key upgrades mentioned in the listing is a new dual exhaust system equipped with turbo mufflers. This modification gives the LTD a mild, classic V8 rumble at idle while still maintaining a relatively quiet and comfortable driving experience at speed. This kind of exhaust setup is popular among classic car owners who want to preserve drivability while adding a slightly more engaging sound profile without making the vehicle overly loud or aggressive. The car has also been lowered using cut springs, which gives it a more aggressive stance compared to its factory ride height. While this modification changes the original suspension geometry, it is also reversible, as the seller notes that returning the car to stock height would only require replacing the springs. This means the vehicle still retains flexibility for a future owner who may prefer a factory-correct restoration or a different suspension setup. Wheels and tires are described as new, which is an important detail for a vehicle of this age. Fresh tires significantly improve both safety and drivability, especially on older full-size cars that were originally designed with different performance expectations. Combined with the reported tight handling, this suggests the car is currently set up more as a usable driver than a restoration candidate. The exterior retains its original paint and vinyl top, although the seller notes that the vinyl top likely requires replacement or removal due to some rust developing underneath it. This is a very common issue for vehicles of this era, as vinyl tops often trap moisture over time. Importantly, the seller states that aside from this area, the body is free from major rust or bondo repairs, indicating that the car's structural integrity remains solid. The overall presentation suggests that this LTD is an honest survivor rather than a heavily restored or modified show car. The combination of original paint, original top, and minimal rust makes it particularly appealing to enthusiasts who value authenticity. While it does require cosmetic attention, especially regarding the vinyl top and paint condition, the absence of major hidden bodywork is a strong positive point. Inside, the blue interior continues the factory color theme and reinforces the period-correct feel of the vehicle. Full-size Ford coupes from the late 1970s were designed with comfort in mind, offering spacious seating, soft ride characteristics, and a relaxed driving environment. Even though the listing does not detail interior condition extensively, the overall originality of the car suggests that much of the cabin likely remains in its factory configuration. From my perspective, the strongest appeal of this 1978 Ford LTD lies in its originality and drivability combination. Many cars from this era have either been heavily altered or deteriorated beyond practical use, but this example appears to strike a balance between preserved condition and usable performance. The mild modifications, such as exhaust and ride height adjustment, do not overwhelm the car's original identity and can be reversed if desired. Overall, this 1978 Ford LTD Coupe presents itself as a well-preserved, low-mileage full-size classic that offers V8 power, original styling, and everyday drivability. While it does require cosmetic work, particularly around the vinyl top and paint, its structural honesty, running condition, and originality make it a solid option for someone seeking a classic American cruiser with character and potential. This 1978 Ford LTD Coupe is located in Groves, Texas, and is currently being offered for sale at an asking price of $7,000. Number 8. 1967 Oldsmobile Cutlass. This 1967 Oldsmobile Cutlass is a classic mid-size American coupe that reflects Oldsmobile's reputation for building comfortable, stylish, and mechanically durable vehicles during the golden era of GM performance and cruising cars. Finished in an off-white exterior over a blue interior, this example presents itself as a running and driving classic equipped with a 330 cubic inch V8 engine, offering a balance of smooth power delivery and everyday usability that defined many Oldsmobile models of the late 1960s. Under the hood, the 330 V8 is one of Oldsmobile's well-regarded small-block engines, known for its reliability, solid torque output, and smooth operation. While not as aggressive as the larger Rocket V8 variants found in higher performance trims, the 330 still provides plenty of power for comfortable cruising and highway driving. Paired with an automatic transmission, the drivetrain is designed for ease of use rather than performance driving, making the car approachable for casual classic car ownership. The seller notes that the vehicle runs, drives, and stops properly, which is an important baseline for any vintage car in this price range. This indicates that the core mechanical systems, engine, transmission, and braking, are functional and usable without requiring immediate major repairs. For many buyers, this driver condition status is often more valuable than a non-running project, as it allows enjoyment of the car right away while planning future improvements over time. One of the functional highlights mentioned is the air conditioning system, which is reported to be operational but in need of a recharge. While not uncommon for older vehicles, having a working AC system is a significant comfort feature, especially in warmer climates like Texas where the car is currently located. With a simple service, this system could likely be restored to full functionality, adding to the overall driving comfort. The vehicle does show signs of age-related wear, particularly small rust areas around the front and rear window frames. These areas are known common trouble spots for classic GM vehicles of this era, as moisture tends to collect around window seals over decades of use. While the rust is described as minor, it is still an important consideration for any buyer evaluating long-term restoration potential or cosmetic improvement. Another key detail is that this Cutlass carries a salvage title. This typically indicates that at some point in its history the vehicle was declared a total loss by an insurance company, often due to damage, theft recovery, or other significant claims. While salvage-titled vehicles can still be driven and enjoyed, they usually carry lower resale value and may require additional inspection or documentation depending on local regulations. For some buyers, however, this also presents an opportunity to acquire a classic at a more affordable price point. The car currently shows 148,023 miles, which suggests it has seen regular use throughout its life. High mileage on classic cars is not necessarily a negative factor if the vehicle has been maintained properly, especially when the drivetrain remains functional as indicated in the listing. However, it does reinforce the idea that this is a driver-quality vehicle rather than a restored or low-mileage collector piece. The interior is described as blue, matching the exterior's traditional GM styling approach of coordinated color schemes. While no specific details are provided regarding restoration or condition, interiors from this era typically emphasize simplicity and comfort, with wide bench or bucket seating and straightforward dashboard layouts. Overall, this 1967 Oldsmobile Cutlass is presented as an affordable, usable classic with some known imperfections and a salvage title history. Its strengths lie in its running condition, functional drivetrain, and classic Oldsmobile V8 character, while its drawbacks include minor rust and the branding impact of its title status. Located in New Ulm, Texas, and offered at $8,500 or best offer with no trades considered, this Cutlass represents a budget-friendly entry into classic American car ownership. For buyers willing to accept cosmetic flaws and a salvage history, it provides a straightforward opportunity to enjoy a vintage GM coupe with V8 power and comfortable cruising capability without the high cost of a fully restored example. Number 9. A 1974 Plymouth Roadrunner that represents the later evolution of one of Mopar's most recognizable performance nameplates. By the mid-1970s, the Roadrunner had transitioned away from its earlier high-performance muscle car roots into a more modest, emissions-era configuration, but it still carried the iconic name, styling cues, and personality that made it famous in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Finished in blue with a manual transmission, this example is being offered as a project car, making it an opportunity for someone willing to invest time, effort, and resources into bringing it back to a more complete and enjoyable condition. Power comes from a 318 cubic inch V8 engine, one of Chrysler's most widely used and dependable small-block engines. While not as aggressive as the larger 383 or 440 engines found in earlier Roadrunners, the 318 is known for its reliability, simplicity, and ease of maintenance. In this application, it provides basic V8 performance suitable for a driver-level restoration or a gradual build-up into a more capable street car. The engine is paired with a 3-speed manual transmission, a combination that gives the car a more engaging driving feel compared to automatic-equipped versions, even in its current project state. According to the seller, the car currently starts, runs, and stops, which is an important detail for a project vehicle. It indicates that the drivetrain is at least operational, even if the overall condition is far from road-ready. Many project cars require significant mechanical work just to become operational, so having a running foundation can reduce the initial barrier for a new owner looking to take on a restoration. However, it is also clearly described as being far from a driver-quality vehicle. This suggests that while the basic systems function, the car likely requires attention in multiple areas such as braking refinement, suspension wear, interior restoration, and general mechanical sorting. Project vehicles like this are often best suited for enthusiasts who are comfortable with gradual, hands-on restoration work rather than those seeking an immediate turnkey classic. The 1974 model year Roadrunner occupies an interesting position in Mopar history. By this time, insurance costs, emissions regulations, and changing consumer preferences had significantly reduced the emphasis on high-performance muscle cars. As a result, later Roadrunners are often viewed more as transitional models rather than peak performance icons. However, they still retain strong brand recognition and nostalgic value, especially among Mopar enthusiasts who appreciate the lineage of the nameplate. One of the key advantages of a project car like this is its potential. At an asking price of $10,000, it provides a relatively affordable entry point into classic Mopar ownership, especially when compared to fully restored or high-performance Roadrunner examples that can command significantly higher prices. For someone with the skills and resources to complete the build, it could serve as a foundation for a personalized restoration or performance upgrade project. The seller notes that it has a clean title in hand, which is an important factor when considering a restoration project. A clear title simplifies future registration and resale, and avoids the complications often associated with salvage or missing documentation vehicles. From a collector's perspective, this Roadrunner is not a finished show car or a preserved original example. Instead, it represents a blank canvas with historical identity and potential. The appeal here lies not in immediate presentation or performance, but in the opportunity to rebuild and customize the car according to personal preference. Some enthusiasts prefer exactly this type of vehicle because it allows them to create a unique build rather than preserving an existing restoration. Overall, this 1974 Plymouth Roadrunner is best understood as a foundational project with classic Mopar heritage. While it requires significant work to reach a desirable driver or show condition, it already offers the core elements needed to begin that journey: a V8 engine, manual transmission, clean title, and recognizable muscle car identity. For the right buyer, it could become a rewarding long-term build that revives a classic nameplate and brings it back to life in a personalized form. Number 10. 1977 Mercury Grand Marquis. This 1977 Mercury Grand Marquis is a classic example of late 1970s American full-size luxury, a period when comfort, smooth highway cruising, and formal styling defined the personal luxury sedan market. Finished in blue over a matching blue interior, This Grand Marquis reflects the era's emphasis on understated elegance and traditional design cues, paired with a level of space and ride comfort that modern vehicles rarely replicate. As Mercury's flagship full-size model, the Grand Marquis shared much of its engineering with Ford's full-size platform, but it was positioned with a more upscale identity. The 1977 model year in particular represents one of the last stages before downsizing became widespread across American manufacturers, meaning this car still carries the substantial dimensions, long wheelbase, and heavy road presence that defined the golden age of big American cruisers. According to the listing, this example has just 61,000 miles and only 2 previous owners, which is relatively low for a vehicle of this age. Low-mileage full-size luxury cars from this era are increasingly uncommon, especially ones that appear to have been preserved rather than heavily modified or worn down through decades of daily use. One of the most visually distinctive features is the Landau-style vinyl roof. This design element was extremely popular in the 1970s, giving large American sedans a more formal, upscale appearance. Combined with the fender skirts and chrome molding mentioned by the seller, the car carries a classic, executive luxury aesthetic that was highly desirable during its time. The interior is described as clean and well-preserved, featuring split front seats and a rear bench, which emphasizes the spacious and comfort-focused layout typical of the Grand Marquis line. Cars like this were designed with long-distance travel in mind, offering soft seating, generous legroom, and a quiet cabin environment. Even today, these interiors are known for their relaxed and float-like driving experience. Entertainment features include an AM/FM radio paired with an 8-track player, a nostalgic reminder of the era when this car was built. While outdated by modern standards, these systems add to the vehicle's originality and period-correct charm. Many collectors value these details because they preserve the authentic driving experience of the late 1970s. Mechanically, the seller notes several recent maintenance items including new white sidewall tires and new brakes. These updates are particularly important for a vehicle of this size and weight, as proper braking performance and reliable tires are essential for safe operation. White wall tires also reinforce the period-correct styling, maintaining the car's original visual identity. Air conditioning is also mentioned, a highly desirable feature for large American sedans of this era. When functioning properly, factory AC systems significantly improve usability, especially for warm weather cruising. Combined with the Grand Marquis' naturally smooth ride characteristics, this makes the vehicle well suited for relaxed driving rather than performance-oriented use. One of the most practical aspects of this model is its famously large trunk space. Full-size American sedans from the 1970s were designed with practicality in mind, and the Grand Marquis is no exception. The seller even highlights it as a great grocery getter, a simple but accurate description of the car's everyday usability despite its classic status. The presence of spare parts such as a spare tire rim and trim pieces suggests the car is relatively complete, which is always a positive sign in older vehicles. Completeness often indicates that the car has not been heavily dismantled or neglected over time, increasing its appeal for both collectors and casual enthusiasts. From a collector's standpoint, the 1977 Grand Marquis occupies an interesting space in the classic car market. While it is not a high-performance muscle car, it represents a significant era of American automotive design where size, comfort, and presence were the primary selling points. As interest in 1970s luxury cars continues to grow, well-preserved examples like this are gradually gaining appreciation among enthusiasts who value originality and comfort-driven engineering. Located in Wellington, Kansas, this 1977 Mercury Grand Marquis is offered at $6,000. With its low mileage, clean condition, Landau vinyl roof, fender skirts, and recently refreshed mechanical items, it stands as a well-preserved example of late 1970s American luxury. For buyers seeking a classic full-size cruiser that emphasizes comfort, nostalgia, and road presence, this Grand Marquis delivers a relaxed and authentic vintage driving experience. Number 11. This 1970 Dodge Super B is one of those classic Mopars that immediately carries weight in the muscle car world. In my opinion, the Super B name represents a very raw and honest era of American performance, where the focus was on big torque, simple engineering, and straight-line speed without unnecessary complexity. Even today, these cars maintain a strong presence because they were built with a very clear purpose in mind. The first thing that stands out here is the 1970 model year. Personally, I think 1970 was one of the peak years for Mopar muscle cars. Dodge and Plymouth were pushing performance hard during this period, and the styling reflected that aggressive, no-nonsense attitude. The Super B fits perfectly into that identity with its bold, straightforward design. And honestly, the purple exterior paired with a white interior makes this particular example even more eye-catching. In my opinion, purple is one of those colors that either completely works or completely overwhelms a classic car, but on a Super B, it actually fits surprisingly well. It gives the car a custom, attention-grabbing personality while still feeling appropriate for the era of bold factory colors and high-impact designs. One thing I've always liked about the Super B is that it doesn't try to be subtle. It was never meant to blend in. It was built to stand out, both visually and mechanically, and this color combination reinforces that character. Under the hood sits a 383 cubic inch engine paired with an automatic transmission. Personally, I think the 383 is one of the most balanced big-block Mopar engines ever produced. It delivers strong low-end torque, smooth power delivery, and enough performance to make a full-size muscle car feel genuinely quick in real-world driving. It may not have the extreme reputation of a 446-pack or the rarity of a Hemi, but in my opinion, the 383 is often the more practical and enjoyable engine for regular street driving. It offers a strong blend of power and usability that makes it well suited for a car like the Super B. The seller describes the car as a head-turner, and honestly, I don't doubt that at all. A well-presented 1970 Super B already attracts attention on its own, and when you add a bold purple exterior, it becomes even more noticeable. In my opinion, this kind of car is as much about presence and attitude as it is about raw performance numbers. I can easily imagine this Super B cruising through town, drawing attention at every stoplight, and naturally becoming the center of conversation wherever it goes. That's part of the classic Mopar experience. These cars were never designed to be invisible. The mileage is listed at around 39,915 miles, which suggests relatively limited use over its lifetime. Personally, I would still focus more on condition and documentation rather than relying heavily on the odometer reading, especially for a car of this age. But if accurate, it does suggest the vehicle hasn't been heavily driven compared to many other surviving muscle cars. The seller mentions that the car has been well cared for, and in my opinion, that's one of the most important factors when evaluating any classic muscle car. Mechanical condition, rust prevention, and maintenance history matter far more than cosmetic appeal alone. Another thing I appreciate about this listing is the tone of the seller's description. It's straightforward and respectful, with a clear emphasis on finding someone who appreciates the car rather than just flipping it. Personally, I think that often signals a more enthusiast-oriented ownership history. At an asking price of $62,000, this Super B is clearly positioned in the higher end of the market. In my opinion, that pricing reflects both the desirability of the Super B name and the general strength of the 1970 Mopar muscle car market. Clean, well-presented examples have become increasingly valuable over time, especially those with strong visual presence like this one. What I like most about this car is its identity. It's not trying to be subtle, modernized, or overly refined. It stays true to what made muscle cars famous in the first place: bold styling, big engine power, and a strong personality that demands attention. Overall, in my opinion, this 1970 Dodge Super B is a very classic example of Mopar muscle culture at its peak. The 383 engine, automatic transmission, striking purple exterior, and strong visual presence make it a car that is clearly built to be seen and enjoyed. It may not be the rarest configuration out there, but it carries the spirit of the era extremely well. And honestly, for enthusiasts who value attitude, history, and street presence, this Super B delivers exactly that. Number 12. 1963 Ford Fairlane Sport Coupe. This 1963 Ford Fairlane Sport Coupe is a well-presented classic Ford that blends vintage styling with a significant number of modern mechanical upgrades, creating a comfortable and usable driver rather than a purely original restoration piece. Finished in red with a matching red interior, this Fairlane delivers a bold, period-inspired appearance that highlights the clean lines and compact proportions that made early 1960s Ford Intermediates so popular among enthusiasts. The Fairlane Sport Coupe occupies an important place in Ford's lineup during this era, offering buyers a balance between compact economy cars and larger full-size sedans. By the early 1960s, Ford was beginning to refine its intermediate platforms, and the Fairlane quickly became a favorite for both everyday transportation and early performance experimentation. Today, these models are appreciated for their simplicity, lightweight construction, and strong aftermarket support. Under the hood, this example is powered by a 302 cubic inch V8 engine, a well-known Ford small block that has earned a reputation for reliability, ease of maintenance, and strong upgrade potential. Paired with a rebuilt 5-speed manual transmission that reportedly has very low mileage since the rebuild, the drivetrain setup gives this classic a significantly more modern and engaging driving experience compared to its original configuration. The addition of a 5-speed gearbox also improves highway drivability, allowing lower engine RPMs and more relaxed cruising. According to the seller, the car has been extensively refreshed with a focus on reliability and road usability. Key mechanical components such as the intake, carburetor, radiator, hoses, cooling fan, brakes, suspension bushings, and rear shocks have all been replaced or upgraded. These updates suggest that the vehicle has been maintained with a strong emphasis on dependable operation rather than simply cosmetic restoration. One of the most appealing features of this fairlane is the inclusion of cold aftermarket air conditioning. For a classic car from the early 1960s, modern AC is a significant comfort upgrade, making the vehicle far more enjoyable in warm climates and during long-distance driving. Combined with the updated drivetrain, this transforms the fairlane into a much more practical classic that can be driven regularly. The seller also notes that the vehicle is rust-free, which is a major advantage for any classic car of this age. Structural rust is one of the most serious concerns in vintage vehicles, and its absence suggests that this fairlane has been well preserved or properly restored in the past. A clean underbody and solid structure significantly increase both the longevity and value of the car. Additional improvements include dual exhaust, upgraded ignition components, aluminum valve covers, and a chrome air cleaner, all of which contribute to a slightly more performance-oriented presentation under the hood. While these modifications do not dramatically alter the character of the car, they do enhance reliability, serviceability, and visual appeal when the hood is opened. Inside, the restored trunk and fully functional electrical systems, including lights and windshield wipers, indicate that the vehicle has been sorted for real-world use. These are often the types of details that separate a show-only car from a dependable driver. The inclusion of a custom car cover further suggests that the owner has taken steps to preserve the vehicle when not in use. From a driving perspective, this fairlane appears to be set up as a modernized classic cruiser. The combination of a 302 V8, 5-speed manual transmission, dual exhaust, and upgraded cooling and fuel systems makes it suitable for both local driving and longer trips. Unlike many unrestored classics, this setup reduces the typical concerns associated with overheating, poor drivability, or limited highway comfort. From my perspective, the strongest aspect of this car is its balance between classic styling and modern usability. While purists may prefer a fully original fairlane, many enthusiasts today prioritize reliability, comfort, and drivability. This example clearly leans toward the latter, offering a classic Ford experience without many of the common limitations of a fully stock early 1960s vehicle. Overall, this 1963 Ford Fairlane Sport Coupe presents itself as a clean, well-maintained, and thoughtfully upgraded classic that is ready to be driven and enjoyed immediately. The combination of rust-free condition, modern drivetrain upgrades, cold AC, and extensive mechanical refurbishment makes it a strong candidate for anyone seeking a vintage Ford that can function as a dependable weekend cruiser or occasional daily driver. This 1963 Ford Fairlane Sport Coupe is located in Belton, Texas, and is currently being offered for sale at an asking price of $32,500. Number 13. 1966 Pontiac Tempest GTO Tribute. This 1966 Pontiac Tempest is presented as a carefully styled GTO tribute build that captures the aggressive personality and visual presence of Pontiac's original muscle car formula, while incorporating a number of upgraded mechanical and convenience components. Finished in aqua metallic over an aqua interior, this coupe carries the classic mid-1960s Pontiac design language with a bold color combination that immediately emphasizes its performance-inspired character. Although this car began life as a Tempest, it has been transformed into a GTO-style tribute, a common and respected approach among enthusiasts who want the look and feel of a GTO without the cost of an original, factory-coated example. The result is a vehicle that delivers strong visual impact and classic muscle car appeal, while still allowing for personalized mechanical enhancements. Power comes from a Pontiac 389 cubic-inch V8 engine, a legendary engine that helped define the original GTO's reputation as one of the earliest true muscle cars. Known for its strong low-end torque and durable construction, the 389 delivers a classic American V8 driving experience with immediate throttle response and a deep, characteristic exhaust tone. In this build, the engine has been upgraded with an Edelbrock intake manifold and carburetor, improving fuel delivery and enhancing overall performance and drivability compared to factory setups. The engine is paired with a turbo 350 automatic transmission, a widely used and reliable GM transmission known for smooth shifting and durability in high-torque applications. The addition of a Hurst, his and hers shifter gives the driver a more engaging control setup, allowing for a semi-manual style of gear selection that adds a nostalgic performance feel while maintaining automatic convenience. Supporting the drivetrain is a dual exhaust system equipped with Flowmaster mufflers, giving the car a deep, aggressive exhaust note that matches its muscle car aesthetic. This is complemented by an aluminum radiator with dual electric fans, an important upgrade that improves cooling efficiency and helps maintain stable operating temperatures during extended driving or warm weather conditions. The exterior presentation is further enhanced by American Racing Torque Thrust wheels, a classic aftermarket wheel choice that has been closely associated with American muscle cars for decades. Combined with the car's stance and aqua metallic finish, the overall appearance is both period-correct in spirit and visually striking in execution. Inside, the vehicle retains a vintage-inspired layout with aqua vinyl bucket seats and a center console that reinforces its sporty identity. A factory AM radio remains in place, preserving a touch of originality and nostalgia. The cabin is also equipped with power steering and power brakes, two important drivability upgrades that make the car significantly easier to handle in modern driving conditions compared to fully manual classic setups. A hood-mounted tachometer adds an authentic muscle-era touch, reflecting the performance-oriented design cues popular in the 1960s. However, it is worth noting that while many systems are functional, the operational assessment indicates that some features, such as the tachometer, heater, and radio, are not currently working. This suggests the car is in a usable but partially sorted condition, rather than a fully restored showpiece. According to the seller, the vehicle runs and drives, and several essential systems such as lights, signals, fuel gauge, and braking components are operational. This reinforces the idea that the car is intended for cruising and enjoyment rather than requiring immediate restoration before use. Mechanically, the combination of the 389 V8, turbo 350 transmission, upgraded cooling system, and dual exhaust setup creates a classic muscle car driving experience that emphasizes torque, sound, and simple mechanical engagement. While it does not appear to be a high-end concours restoration, it delivers the type of raw, nostalgic performance that many enthusiasts specifically seek in tribute builds like this. The listing also highlights the business aspect of the sale, being offered through a dealership environment specializing in classic and collector vehicles. This typically means the car has already been evaluated to some degree and presented for retail sale, rather than being a private owner project vehicle. Located in Sherman, Texas, this 1966 Pontiac Tempest GTO Tribute is offered at an asking price of $39,999. Given its 389 V8 engine, turbo 350 automatic transmission, upgraded cooling and exhaust systems, power steering and brakes, and strong visual presentation, this car positions itself as a ready-to-enjoy classic muscle car with significant curb appeal. Overall, this Tempest GTO Tribute offers a balance of vintage Pontiac performance heritage and practical upgrades, making it an appealing option for enthusiasts who value classic styling, V8 power, and the iconic GTO-inspired look without stepping into the higher cost bracket of fully original, numbers-matching muscle cars. Number 14, a 1975 Dodge Dart Swinger that sits firmly in the category of a full restoration project, offering a classic Mopar foundation for someone willing to bring it back to life from the ground up. Finished in an unspecified condition with a fair rating, this Dart represents the later generation compact Dodge platform that still carried the Swinger name, a badge once associated with more spirited performance in the late 1960s and early 1970s. While this example is far from road-ready, it still retains the core components needed for a complete rebuild, making it an appealing blank canvas for a hands-on enthusiast. Powertrain-wise, the car comes with its engine and transmission still intact, which is a major advantage for a project vehicle in this price range. Although it is currently non-running, having the complete drivetrain in place gives the next owner a starting point for either a rebuild or a replacement swap depending on their goals. Many restoration projects begin with missing or incomplete mechanical systems, so this Dart already has a structural advantage in that regard. The seller notes that the vehicle does not run and requires a flatbed for transport, indicating that it will need full mechanical attention before it can return to the road. The front suspension is described as sagging badly, which is common in older vehicles where bushings, springs, and suspension components have deteriorated over time. This type of issue is expected in a car of this age and condition and would typically be addressed early in a restoration process. One of the more positive aspects of this listing is the inclusion of additional parts. The seller mentions that floor panels are included but have not yet been installed, which is an important detail because floor rust is a common problem in vehicles from this era. Having replacement floor sections already on hand can save significant time and fabrication work during restoration. Additionally, the presence of brand new tires, though currently unused, suggests that some preparatory investment has already been made. The car also comes with a Texas title in the seller's name, which is an important legal advantage. Clear ownership documentation simplifies the process of transfer and future registration, especially for a vehicle that will require extensive work before it is roadworthy again. Having keys available, along with an uninstalled trunk lock, further indicates that the car is relatively complete despite its condition. From a restoration perspective, this Dart Swinger represents the type of project that appeals to enthusiasts who enjoy rebuilding classic cars from the ground up. Unlike fully operational driver-quality vehicles, this kind of project offers full creative control over the final outcome. The buyer has the opportunity to decide whether to restore it to original specifications, modify it into a performance build, or even modernize it with upgraded components. The Dodge Dart Swinger name carries historical significance within Mopar history. Earlier versions were known for their lightweight and strong performance potential, particularly when equipped with V8 engines. By 1975, however, the automotive landscape had shifted significantly due to emissions regulations and changing market demands. As a result, later Dart models are often viewed more as practical compact cars rather than high-performance muscle machines. Still, the platform remains popular among enthusiasts due to its simplicity, affordability, and adaptability. At an asking price between $2,000 and $2,500, this Dart Swinger is positioned at the very entry level of classic car ownership. While it clearly requires a full restoration, the low purchase price reflects its condition and the work needed. For experienced hobbyists, this type of vehicle can serve as a cost-effective starting point for a long-term project. From my perspective, the strongest appeal of this Dart lies in its potential rather than its current condition. It is not a car that can be enjoyed immediately, nor is it a preserved collector piece. Instead, it represents an opportunity to build something entirely new from a vintage Mopar foundation. The inclusion of parts, a clear title, and a complete drivetrain gives it enough substance to justify a restoration effort for the right buyer. Overall, this 1975 Dodge Dart Swinger is a true project car in every sense. It requires significant mechanical, structural, and cosmetic work, but it also offers a straightforward platform and an accessible entry price. For someone willing to invest the time and effort, it could eventually be transformed into a customized classic that reflects both Mopar heritage and personal vision. Number 15. 1967 Ford Custom 390. This 1967 Ford Custom 390 represents a straightforward, no-frills classic full-size Ford that appears to be positioned as an affordable project or restoration candidate. Unlike higher-trim Galaxy models from the same era, the Custom line was designed as a more basic version of Ford's full-size platform, focusing on durability and everyday usability rather than luxury or performance styling. As a result, these cars often served as dependable transportation in their time, and today they frequently surface as budget-friendly entry points into classic Ford ownership. According to the seller, the vehicle is equipped with a 390 cubic inch V8 engine, one of Ford's most respected big-block engines of the 1960s. The 390 is widely known for its strong torque output and reliable performance, making it a popular choice in everything from family sedans to muscle-oriented Ford models. Even in a standard configuration, the engine provides a solid foundation for either restoration or performance-oriented rebuilding, depending on the next owner's goals. The listing notes that the car has not run in a couple of years, which suggests it will require mechanical attention before returning to the road. Vehicles that have been sitting for extended periods typically need a full inspection of fuel, ignition, cooling, and braking systems before they can be safely driven again. However, the seller also mentions that the body of the car is in good condition, which is an encouraging sign for anyone considering a restoration project. Solid bodywork is often one of the most important factors in determining whether a classic car is worth investing in, since rust and structural damage can significantly increase restoration costs. At a price of $1,000, this Ford Custom 390 falls into the lower end of the classic car market, where value is often determined more by potential than present condition. Cars in this category are typically purchased by enthusiasts who enjoy hands-on mechanical work or by builders looking for a base platform for a custom project. The combination of a big block 390 engine and a reportedly solid body makes it especially appealing for those who appreciate vintage Ford the 5th 8 platforms. From a design perspective, the 1967 Ford full-size lineup carried clean, strong body lines that reflected the styling trends of the late 1960s. While the custom trim is more understated compared to Gaxalie or LTD models, it still shares the same fundamental proportions and structure, which means it retains the classic long hood, short deck American sedan profile that collectors recognize today. The fact that the price is listed as negotiable further reinforces its position as a project vehicle rather than a finished collector car. At this level of the market, buyers often evaluate not just the current condition, but also the cost and effort required to bring the vehicle back to life. For experienced enthusiasts, that flexibility can make deals like this attractive, especially when the core components, such as the engine and body, are still present. Located in Iowa, Louisiana, this 1967 Ford Custom 390 is offered as a non-running project with a solid body and a desirable big block engine configuration. While it will require mechanical revival and likely a full inspection before returning to road use, it represents a classic Ford platform with real restoration or customization potential. For someone looking for an affordable entry into vintage V8 ownership, this Custom 390 provides a blank canvas with strong foundational components and plenty of room for future development.